All right, good to see you. Let's talk about part-time health or full-time illness. I've been thinking about this for a while. I had a friend, when she hit 65, I was talking to her and she said, actually she was 67 at the time I was talking to her, she said when she hit 65, she had not done any exercise, not watched anything she ate, not take care of herself. And when she hit 65, it was like hitting a wall. And that it like totally wiped her out. We can go into a whole bunch of stuff. It was just unpleasant. And for like a couple of years, it was like full time. She couldn't even go to work. And I had to redefine that. And it was just unpleasant. And it really became a full-time job of like living. And it wasn't fun living. It was just living, surviving. So the good news was I had that conversation well before I was 50. And so I also looked at my dad. So my dad is turning 90. I'm going home and visiting him next week. It's going to be there. It's going to be awesome. We've been talking on the phone more. We actually play cards. It's crazy. It works. I didn't think it was going to work. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but he holds it. I have my iPhone and I hold the cards up in front of the iPhone so he sees them and he tells me he keeps 2 and 3 and get rid of the rest, and we do poker, and it's super cool. So I love him a lot, but he's moving like a turtle and he's 90, which made me realize I pretty much almost have a whole second life coming up. Like, I'm thinking about that. Like a whole second life. And if you're watching this and you're 60, you've easily got 20, 30 more years, right? Even if you're 70, right? And the point though is what it got really, really clear was if I want, and there's a Groucho Marx line, the comedian, something like, if I knew how long I was going to live, I would have taken better care of myself, right? And so I got really clear that I want to be moving better and feeling better than he does. And the reason why is I cannot be creative. I cannot be creative at the level I want to be creative if I feel terrible. Right? Just think about last time you had the flu. Right? In the bed, chills, fever. No one's thinking about writing anything, creating an online course, painting, writing poetry, creating the next thing for their business, right? There's just, it's survival. And so I got really clear, and especially in 2019, April 2019, I did my first 5-day fast. And there was food involved, but it was like a low amount, like 750 calories a day. I was pretty darn hungry by day 4, but what happened was a miracle for me. And you may have heard this story, but I'm going to tell it again because it's important to, sometimes you got to hear things twice, but really it's important for me to say it because every time I say it, I'm like, that's right. That's why I'm taking care of myself. So I've always haven't been able to, my nostrils have been always sort of closed up, right? Especially at night. And I thought it was the allergies and the food or the air, the pollen. I have a dog and cat. Maybe it's living in Los Angeles, but I also had it back in Ohio before I moved here. Went to different doctors. And 4 days within this 5-day fast, 100% clear both nostrils. And I can breathe. I'm telling this story to give hope. So here's the hope part of this story. So 30, 40 years, right, of living, just eating processed foods, eating the diet I was eating. It wasn't terribly crazy, but I was about 15, 20 pounds overweight, right? But it was not just the amount, but it was the type, right? And like I said, 30, 40 years of living that way, 4 days really eating much cleaner, and there was a noticeable difference. So I'm saying that out loud because when we take steps to increase our health while we're feeling pretty good or not feeling really bad, it's going to take longer than we prefer. Okay, listen to this. It's going to take longer than we prefer, but it's not going to take as long as we fear. Right? So I had pretty much come to a life that I just am not going to be able to breathe out of my nose, especially at night. I was like, that's my lot in life, right? It's just, it was annoying. It was drainy sometimes. It was, I don't want to go into grossness on you, but I was like, I had seen doctors, I had whatever, it's just, that's it. I've done the allergy thing, whatever. But so it took longer than I'd prefer. I'd prefer to eat clean one day and be able to breathe, right? But it was 4 days, but it was a miracle. And I was like, oh my gosh. So the good news is our bodies are incredibly resilient. Incredible. So as I started to walk a little bit more, as I started to bounce on our trampoline, as I started to drink more water, as I started reading books on longevity and health and actually doing things and doing another fast 4 months later and another fast and then doing a different type of fast. And my last one was for 3 weeks. Still food involved, but it was much more almost much cleaner. And it was amazing, right? So now I'm kind of hooked on it, which is cool, and that's where this whole conversation comes. It's a part-time jobs go what, for any 10, 15, 20 hours a week, right? But a full-time job usually means 40, right, at a minimum, right? So I had to get really clear in my consciousness and the way the clients that I'm working with is, hey, when we get a certain point, especially in America, if we have a certain diet and a certain lack of movement, it's up to us. Do we want to have a part-time job, 10, 12 hours a week, reading, moving some more, taking care? It takes a little bit more effort to eat healthy. I mean, it does. It's a pain in the ass. It's not fun. It's terrible, right? But do I want to do that and feel really 1,000 times better, which then allows me to be creative and it allows me to do things. It allows me to take other steps. It allows me to connect with my family and my spouse and be creative. Or do I just want to keep pushing it off until we become a statistic? I mean, in America right now, in 2000, 30% of Americans, United States citizens, were obese. 30%. 2018, it was 42%. Right? Because it takes years to get all the data or whatever. So they're anticipating the next bunch of data to come out, it's going to be higher. And those people aren't feeling good, right? And there's a lot more doctor visits and a lot more medications, and then they got side effects and blah, 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 right? So, encouragement to be creative. We just got to get involved more on the physical plane. And we can do that. And the biggest positive statement that I really want to share, that's sort of my mantra in this area, is it's going to take me longer than I'd hoped for, longer than I prefer, but shorter than I fear, right? It's not going to take forever. It's not like it's never going to get better, but it's just going to take some movement, some action, some participation. I invite you to join me on this adventure called life so we can be more creative and maybe have another 20, 30, 40 years of rocking it and really creating our heart's dreams, our goals, and all that good stuff. See you later. Enjoy.